Hey, I'm Jonathan Good with Southeastern Land Group, out taking a ride today with my youngest son. We're cruising up and down, checking out the fence line. I just got this thing cleaned off yesterday. I've been working on it for an hour here and there over the last couple of months, and finally got it finished yesterday, hopefully with the help of some of our good agrochemical folks. I'm going to find something to spray on it that'll keep it from ever growing up. But this morning on the way to church, I had a conversation with our 4-year-old. I asked him, what two things does a fence primarily do? And he was quick to answer that a fence primarily keeps things out. And that's true, that's half of it. The other half, when we talked about it more, is he said, well, a fence keep things in, like your cows and pigs and horses. And that's exactly right. And then, because I'm a land nerd and enjoy talking about this kind of stuff, we talked about the fact that there are some states that are fence-in states. There are some states that are fence-out states. Alabama happens to be a fence-in state where if you have livestock, the law requires you to keep your animals inside an enclosure. If you don't, you're subject to a misdemeanor and I think up to a $50 fine, maybe even up to 6 months of hard labor if you were to get convicted on that. And then there are a lot of states, particularly out west, that are open range states, or at least they have been in the past, where a lot of the land is not fenced in, and they're called fence out states. If you don't want people grazing livestock on your property, you have to put a fence up to keep them out. And you know, we've all heard the expression that good fences make good neighbors, and I think that's true. It's important to have good fencing to keep your livestock in. It's also one of the benefits of having a fence is if you put it on your property line, it's a well-defined boundary line for you, so your neighbors know where to come and not to encroach, and it helps you to avoid encroaching on your neighbor. But good fences are important when you're looking to purchase a piece of property. If you find a place that has a fence on it like this, something with a 5-strand barbed wire or something like that, if you were to have to go replace it yourself, you'd be looking at, you know, $2 to $3 per linear foot just for materials. And if you were going to install it yourself, and then I've heard people say $5 to $6 installed per linear foot. Obviously it gets more expensive as you do panel wire or net wire, something like that, something that's a welded wire. Those things are better for smaller animals like sheep and goats. But a good fence is really important. If you're considering buying a place, make sure you look for that, see how intact the fence is, how much work you're going to have to do to bring that fence up to par if you're going to be running livestock on it. And then if there is no fencing, you know, one of the biggest costs that you have associated with putting a fence up is clearing the place that the fence line is going to go. There can be a lot of money involved with clearing, or if you have to take up an existing fence, that even adds to the cost. So there are a lot of things to consider, but if you're looking at making a rural land purchase, consider what the fence situation is, how it's currently constructed, and what you'll need to do. You'll get a lot more information about this at Jonathan Good, Southeastern Land Group, or on my Safer on Your Acres Facebook page. Thanks for checking it out, but just remember, good fences make good neighbors.